Halito. Great Grand Rising to everyone. Great Grand Rising to everyone. Just gonna wait for some more people to get on. Try not to do too many lives, but I do a lot of lives. Well, I haven't been allowing me to do much lives lately because I don't know why. For some reason the live stream just keeps going off. But this is gonna be a short show, very short show about the hard. It's time for the hard Indigenous truth. It's just time. After this week and things that have been going on in court systems, I know people are paying attention. But I've been talking about the right to self-determination now for almost 25 years, 30 years, and it's time for everybody to begin to start understanding. If you call yourself Indigenous, if you call yourself Aboriginal, which is a whole other thing, Indian, American Indian, it's time to understand exactly, what's going on with our leadership. It's time to find out. It's time to really begin to start understanding that this system that we're in isn't new. The reason why we began INA, the Indigenous Nations of North America, the reason why we began INA was because we need to make sure that we have our landmass intact. We need to make sure, Halito, Great Grand Rising, awesome. We need to make sure that we have our landmass intact. We need to make sure that we have our own properties, the where our people actually come from. Now we don't have enough strength, enough power to be able to take over the whole entire continent of our indigenous people, of who we really are. So this is the reason why we put out a map. Now this map, a lot of people got really upset about the INA map. Then the INA map was a map showing you everywhere where our people belong and what our people actually control and organize in terms of a nation state that was governed with the I got a bunch of people running around here, that is governed with the it aligns with what you call the United Nations of this system, right? Because you have to make sure you fit into this system. So today I'm talking to you about things that are going on in our mental state as indigenous people, not black people, because black people, you're done. If you call yourself black, you're already done. If you call yourself African American, you're done. There's no such thing, whatever. In fact, there's no person out there that's ever met a black person in their life. So the INA map was to show people, it was all the way from Texas, all the way through the South Carolinas, all the way through Oklahoma, all the way down through Florida, right? I mean, this is the original properties where the bulk of our people really are, the strength of our people. Then in that map, we had protection zones that we would be able to create co-creation communities, begin to start taking back our housing authorities, because the housing authorities were supposed to be for indigenous people and indigenous Indians, us, period. Nobody else is supposed to be in these housing authorities, working on these housing authorities, building these housing authorities, etc. It was a place where we were able to go to be able to design and to begin to start going back into the political system, back into the governmental system, or just back into our natural system upon which we came out of. So this is why we did INA. The Indigenous Nations of North America, it is not of one group, many flags, many nations, speaking as one voice, taking back our land. This is who we are. Right? This is who we are. I'm a little upset today. Why am I upset today? And I gotta be honest, is because the Supreme Court yesterday, now those that call yourself Creek, Choctaw, any kind of Indian, right? Anybody of those people call themselves Creek, Choctaw, Mohegans, any of them, any Indian, I don't care what kind of Indian you call yourself, right? The Supreme Court just decided the other day that the Creek and Choctaw nations, as well as some other ones, now own half of an entire state of Oklahoma. Imagine, now this is part of the INA map. They have now given that land, because of all of this land, and it was about people who the Supreme Court decision was based on illegal lawsuits against people who committed child molestation, rape, and murder. Now, these Native Americans that did these things were not allowed to be charged in the United States court system because they were under tribal tribune at that particular time. So what they did, they passed a law and they upheld the tribal nations of the Cree, Choctaw, and a few other ones, I don't have it right now, that the United States government was in error in charging them and throwing them in jail in the United States system. So you, look at who you are. If you consider yourself African American, black, any kind of Indian, you are within the United States system. They can come into your house, take your children, they can bust into your house, charge you with a crime, take you into their court system. The real Creek, what they consider the real Creek, Choctaw, and any other Indian, Cherokee, whatever you want to call yourselves, right? They are not within their system, they're within tribal systems. All right? So everybody out there that is calling themselves some sort of an indigenous, aboriginal, whatever, just fooling themselves. Why? Because the Supreme Court just slapped every single one of them down to let you know that you're fake phonies and you're frauds. You cannot survive in this system that does not belong to you. And if you don't stand up, as many flags under one nation, you will never, ever have a chance to be able to be what you're supposed to be. You can set anything up that you want, but it won't mean anything because you're in this system. And again, as that analogy is, we're in a jail system, we're all in jail, and the only thing people are doing is trying to make themselves a little better in that portion of the jail that they're in. Well, I ain't about that. I'm about getting out of jail. I'm about getting out of the system, not staying in the system. And they say, well, you can't do that unless you got money. Everybody's willing to sell their souls for money. And that's the reason why I said there's going to be the largest selling of souls that you've ever seen during this time, within the next 3 or 4 years, ever. And that's what people are doing. Right? Because no matter where you go, what they're looking for, everybody's looking for to make money. They're not looking to get out of the system. They're looking to pad their own pockets. And I'm sick and tired of it. Sick and tired of it. If you are an indigenous leader, if you are an indigenous chief, you should be looking after the souls of the people that you are in command of. And not trying to make peace. And it's not even a matter of making peace. It's a matter of getting your people the soulful energy to lift themselves up so that they can get out of the system. And I'm talking about in the political terms, because that's what I do. In political terms, anything else anybody else is doing is within the system. And if you're within the system, you're done. You're done. They just slap you in the face when the Supreme Court said that the Choctaw and the Creek. Creek is a made-up name. They made up these people's names because they came there, see the creek, and said, these people look like Creek. These people are Creek. This is around the creek. They name them Creek. Not even real. It's not even a real name. But yet they have more authority than you. This is the kicker. The kicker is this. So when they have all these people misrepresented, this is the first time I've seen this on live television, OLN, whatever it was, news. They put an hour's worth of news on Native American news. First time I've seen this on public TV. So on Native American, so when they did this and they showed nothing but Native American leadership in charge of these Choctaw, in charge of these Creeks. And I'm saying, if you were a part of these people, you would have been up there part of their leadership. You're not tribal people, but you're not on their tribal council. And you're so hopefully the stream is back again, but they keep on cutting me off. But the bottom line is that the Supreme Court made a ruling the other day stating that half of Oklahoma belongs to the Native Americans, which are the Creek and Choctaw. So they don't want people to hear what's going on. But again, we need to rise up as beings together to make sure that we ourselves are taking care of what we got to take care of. That's what we need to do. We have to rise up together, because I'm telling you now, we have to create our own united indigenous nations, and then we need to come together and be able to speak to one another in peace, in harmony. So then that way we'll be able to have a leg to stand on, and then we need to be able to begin to start presenting ourselves. We don't have anything in the system, and never will, as long as they keep on keeping us in the system. That's all the Black Lives Matter is. That's backed by Antifa and a lot of these other billionaires. Black people didn't create Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was created by other people. All these organizations, NAACP, Urban League, and all this other stuff was created for that. So all I'm saying is, if we continue on the same path that we're continuing, Great Grand Rising again, if we're continuing on the same path that we're continuing, this over here and see whether or not actually just get a straight thing. But I'm telling you, you better check yourselves, because if you want proper education, you better make sure that this is what we're doing. If you want to be free, you got to be out of the system. I'm just gonna be plain with you. Anybody else telling you anything else, tell them to come after me, tell them to say whatever. You gotta know who you are. That's why the people like the Phoenix Moons and people like that, you know, you gotta know your history. That's why people like Carrie Davis and people like that are extremely important, right? You have to belong to a very strong nation, such as the one that Blue Feather's in, Empress Cyprus is in. All right. I mean, there's a lot of different things that are around, but again, if we don't come together as United Nations under one flag of indigenous people, we have no leg to stand on. Who's speaking for us? Because I just seen all these people got on TV. None of them look like indigenous people until the very end. And this is what I want to end with. The very end, they showed one of the original chiefs, and guess what he looked like? He looked like an indigenous person. He looked like a copper-colored being, as it described in the 1821, I believe, dictionary. Copper-colored indigenous being of America. None of these people look like that. So what I'm telling you now, come together as one, under one flag. Don't come together as black people. There ain't no such thing as black people. Never met a black person in my life, and neither did you. Neither did you. Don't come together as that fake, phony Jesse Jackson and his little bouye connection of people as African Americans. Fake, phony, and it's a fraud. Come together as who you are supposed to be as indigenous people. You don't want to call yourself Aboriginal? That's fine. Don't want to call yourself indigenous? That's fine. American Indian? Whatever. But we need to come together as beings of people of this land. And begin to start learning our own history. But before we can really do all of that stuff, I mean, we're doing it now. But as you're learning who and what you are and understanding that this is your land and that you didn't come from Africa, start a co-creation community. Start a co-creation community, one that's going to be able to bring more like-minded people in that belong on this land. And then let's create a United Nations of many flags, many nations, so that we can speak to the world as one voice. We can bring ourselves over to those African nations that are willing to accept us in as indigenous people of America. Right away. Right away. So the indigenous nations of America, it's not one person, it's not me, it is a collection of nations, United Nations coming together to represent us all as one so that we can move together and move forward as one people. The United States Supreme Court, you know, I'm telling everybody this for a long time now. The United States Supreme Court again ruled half of Oklahoma is for the Cree and Choctaw, and the people that are speaking for the Cree and Choctaw nations, which we know exactly who they are, do not look like copper-colored Indians. We're losing people. We're losing. Time is going to be short. We're losing. We're losing. We need to get ourselves back into a system that we're able to sustain ourselves. Soon they're going to have these vaccinations ready. The economy is already falling. They're putting a lot of things in place, such as a lot of these surveillance systems and stuff like that. Things that we're losing, people. The education system is flawed. We're losing. We're losing. Big time. And it's time that we come together as whatever you want to call it, Aboriginal, Indigenous, American Indian beings, as a United Nations under one. Start your co-creation community. Begin to start relying on yourselves. Don't look for any kind of handouts. Work on your soul. Become who and what you're supposed to be. The Indigenous Nations of North America is every co-creation community, every so-called Indian nation community that is coming together under one umbrella in order for this crap not to happen anymore. That's the reason why I put out that landmass map, so showing the Indigenous Nations of North America and the land that you control. That's the reason why I put out that map of all of the protected areas upon which all of our indigenous beings live. Chicago, places in New York, places in California, places in Denver, places in Colorado, places in Detroit, Flint, Michigan. We're losing, people. We're losing, and the leadership is helping us lose once again. I'm just going to be honest, straight up with you. You want to say that I'm wrong? And make videos about me and how I'm wrong and how no good, nasty I am, whatever. I really don't care anymore, because I'm sick and tired in my soul watching our people die by the wayside for no reason, or for sacrifices for that system, just so somebody can put $1 and be having anyway in your pocket. This is a thunder. Political scientist coming to you real today. I am about to put on the second part of the counterfeit spirits that walk among us. Very important, because if you don't know who you are within inside of your soul and what you're dealing with, you can never win any kind of economic, political battle at all, because you are siding with things that are entities inhabited and beings without souls and only spirit. So we'll be breaking down what is a Hemaru. We'll be breaking down what is a Tamaru. We'll be breaking down Ruti, Nazi. We're going to be breaking down the 4 races of people. I'm going to be doing that. It's going to be very important. You guys have a great day. I love you. Please think about it. Really think about it, because if we don't come together as a being of people, we are once again going to truly lose. And Donald Trump said it very eloquently. He said that the black people of the United States do not get a control of their history, do not learn their history, they are doomed to fall right back into the positions that they were already in. Wow. I'm out, people. Peace.